Today's podcast is sponsored by King's Cleaning Solutions. King's offers carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, upholstery cleaning, natural stone maintenance, area rug cleaning, and hardwood floor cleaning in Kokomo and its surrounding areas. Contact them today for all of your cleaning needs.
Welcome back to The Lamp. This is the Kokomo Lantern's weekly podcast hosted by me, the publisher of The Lantern, Pat Munsey. And today I have, returning for another little session, Paul Wyman, developer and community leader extraordinaire, we'll say. I'll come up with a new title every time I see it. That's all right.
You're just way too kind right now, man. Way too kind.
But we want to talk to you guys today about economic development and some of the recent things that have taken place. Most notably, this community, as part of a 6-county district, received $35 million in grant funding from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. And Governor Eric Holcomb was here a couple weeks ago to make that announcement that we were receiving the money. So I'd really like to find out, how do we qualify for this money, and what are we going to do with it?
I greatly appreciate that, and thanks for this opportunity. It's a privilege for me to serve on the North Central Indiana Regional Planning Council board, and that's my current involvement, with the READI program. And you're right, Governor Holcomb put the READI program in place several years back when they did READI 1.0. And at that time, our region was awarded $30 million in that grant process for a whole host of projects, one of them being the Hotel Convention Center that's getting ready to go here in Kokomo. Right. I believe $5 million of READI 1.0 is being put toward that project. And then it was such a success around the state that Governor Holcomb said, "Hey, let's do READI 2.0." And so they announced another $500 million in a grant application process, and our region competed and did so well in READI 1 that we were able to move all of that excitement and momentum right into READI 2, and so we qualified for another $35 million. So when you look at READI 1.0 and READI 2.0, we're talking about $65 million coming into our region now on projects that are everything from housing to economic development to quality of life across the board. And on a per capita basis, when you look at the 17 regions around the state that we compete with, we're about 4th or 5th on a per capita basis on number of dollars that we receive. So very, very competitive. Obviously, the investment by Star Plus and $6 billion with 2 battery plants is a huge shot in the arm. So you take that type of investment in the private sector, you take the private investment match that goes along with these grants, you take the public sector money, which is the grants, and you put all that together, and we're creating public-private partnerships that are just off the charts and are creating everything from jobs to quality of life to you name it. And it's one of the things that make people say, "Hey, I want to live in this region." And so when you see population growth like we've experienced from 2010 to 2020, when all the economists out there said, "Oh, Kokomo and Howard County is going to lose population," and all these naysayers, and we did complete opposite of it. Yep. And if you look statistically in the regions and places where they said they were going to lose population, it played out that way, but not here. And a lot of that, I believe, was because, if you go back to 2010-11 timeframe, our community, our local governments, both city and county governments, started really working together and focusing on quality of life initiatives. Mm-hmm. And so you have things like new YMCAs and the ball stadium downtown and new apartment complexes, all the trail systems through your community. You start putting all that together and people start looking and saying, "Wait a second, these amenities that are here are amenities I only used to think or hear about in other communities." Right. Now, wow, and the crime rate's low in Kokomo, you have 5 incredible school corporations, you have investment happening, you have quality of life. You're like, let's start looking at Kokomo and Howard County to live, and they did, and that's why we saw population growth.
Well, we're actually seeing a problem because of that, and we don't have enough.
So now we're in a situation where we're like, hey, we need more housing, right? So when you look at READI 2.0, and the number of housing projects that are being allocated for in there, it's pretty significant. I mean, you're probably talking about 1,000 units in our region that will get funded through this new READI 2.0. And that's a lot of housing, but we need it. And thankfully, it's what a great problem to have, right?
And this is market rate housing. This is
100%. Yeah. So, and it's everything from single family homes to multifamily. and you need the whole housing mix, right? You know, sometimes I see communities get so focused and they hone in on one sector of housing, and then they're like, uh-oh, we're stuck. And what we've been really good about over the years, especially in the last 10, 15 years, is getting that mixture going and realizing there are people that rent, there are people that own, there are people that want this type of housing. And so we have that mix, and when you offer that mix, it just enables more and more people to move to your community. So you'll see some of that mix come out in our region through READI 2.0.
Sure. Now, we don't know what each of the programs are that are going to receive funding at this point. We have a list of potential candidates, right?
There's a list of projects that have been submitted, and as they work through the final, determinations of how the $35 million is spent, those projects will be awarded dollars. And so each time that happens, there'll be an announcement, and then that's how the community, everybody will understand, okay, this is how this project's being funded.
Gotcha. But there was one that was announced by the governor at his IEDC meeting, and that was this Morray Trails project, which is, for those who don't know, if you've been here long enough, you know where Delco Park was, over on the east side at Sycamore and 931. It hasn't been Delco Park for a long time, but now that entire plot of land is being redeveloped, right?
It's being redeveloped, and when the governor was here, they certainly had that in their presentation as part of a project that they're very interested in. So, when you look at them in their totality and you say, here's all the grant money, here's all the projects that need it done in our community, the leaders of each community are continually coming together saying, okay, these are the priority projects and here's why they make the most difference. And probably one of the greatest things about READI 1.0 and READI 2.0 is to watch our 6 counties work together. We really, and I say this proudly, our region, I believe, sets the example as to how leaders should work together. The commissioners and the mayors in each of these counties are at the table, and we're working together to figure out what are the best investments, because a rising tide lifts all ships.
Right.
If Kokomo's doing well, the region's doing well. Miami County should be doing well. Tipton, everybody's got their part in our whole rising tide. And so when I see leaders like that coming together and they're all in the room and we're having these good discussions, but it's not just the mayors and the commissioners. You have the economic development leaders in the rooms. Then you have heads of nonprofits. When I look at the nonprofits in our 6 counties and the work that they do, it is a critical component to the success of our region. What we're finding is we're leaving no segment behind. So we are supporting our nonprofits through READI. We are supporting economic development. We are supporting quality of life. You start putting that whole package together, and then everybody's getting something out of it. And that's why I think our region is doing so well in these competitions for these grant dollars, because they're able to see from afar that there's something special going on there.
Sure. And not all this money's coming to Kokomo.
No,
because it is a 6 county
region.
So there was some stuff in READI Point 1. Logansport got some money out of that. Different places.
Every county is getting dollars in READI.
Gotcha.
And that's what I mean by the rising tide. I mean, we're all benefiting from these dollars. And it's not just the grant dollars. It requires local match. It requires private sector match. And so when you take this $35 million, we're going to turn it into hundreds of millions of dollars. It's going to get leveraged up because of the private sector match that comes alongside of it, and then the public sector match. And when we put that together, that's where I love to talk about public-private partnerships. And when they're firing on all cylinders, there's nothing stronger than a public-private partnership. And then when you look at the leadership and everybody sitting at the tables together, holy cow! It really is an example for other regions to look at and say, hey, wow, look how they're all getting along there, and look at the great things that are happening.
Sure. So let me play devil's advocate. I'm just the guy sitting on my couch, and I just work a 9 to 5, and I'm like, oh, what does this mean for me? Well, why are you even bothering?
Yeah. So it's a great question. I hear it all the time, and here's what it means to you. Most people want to live in a vibrant community, not a dying community, right? So if you do have a 9 to 5 job and you're working, you're probably proud of your community. You're proud of the company you work for. The company you work for is going to benefit very well, because if we're creating jobs in our community and more people are working, then your company's going to have customers. And so your job is becoming secure. Or you might look and say, hey, I'm doing really well here, but now look, because of this READI money, this company's doing this. Now there might be a new growth opportunity for you. And then lastly is the whole quality of life is, I may be working 9 to 5, but I like to go out and do things, right? And what are the things I like to do, and are those amenities here? And if those amenities are there because of all this public-private partnership, I'm now enjoying where I live. So it's all connected. And that's what I love about it. When you bring the connections together and people together, it's real easy to get excited about.
And a big component of this was education as well. So that guy's kids have a chance
100%.
to jump into the next
No doubt.
level of technological
technology,
training,
advanced manufacturing. If you look at the last go around of READI 1.0, dollars went to Ivy Tech's advanced manufacturing lab. So here, if you look now at our school systems, when I talk about our 5 school systems, I get to bragging because I will put our 5 school systems up in Howard County against any school systems around the state. And the number of students now that are earning dual credits, right? They're in high school, now they're going to college, credits transfer. Well, now I'm getting these dual credits as a senior high school, but now I can go over to Ivy Tech and get into advanced manufacturer training. And guess what we have now with a $6 billion investment in battery plant? That's advanced manufacturing and technology. That technology in what's considered an automotive plant, but the technology in there is so unbelievable. We are attracting some of the highest talent now that you can find because of the technological aspect of that. It's not the impression of, back in the 50s, I went and worked in the plant and I got greasy and I was dirty. It's not that way anymore. It's technology. And so now when you look at our educational institutions, to your point, that are receiving some of these READI dollars, it's strengthening them as well. So not only do we have great K through 12, but you take Ivy Tech, Indiana University of Kokomo, Indiana Wesleyan, you start putting all that together, and now people really have options. And my son's a perfect example of that. He stayed here at IUK, and he is loving that experience at Indiana University of Kokomo because of all they have to offer now. And so when you start putting that whole package together, people go, wow, things are really happening. In
our colleges are amazingly improved over. I graduated from IUK in 1994, and they had just finished a library. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And now I don't recognize the campus. There's so much more there. And Ivy Tech is double the size that it was, let's say, a generation ago. So we've really seen a lot of investment with programs like this, with the READI grant, that makes this kind of thing possible.
And they become regional campuses now.
Yes.
I mean, look at the number of people at IUK and Ivy Tech that are coming from outside of Kokomo and Howard County. So these really support our 6-county region because now, when people say, well, how's it benefit me? Well, now we're able to have the strength of this education right here in our region. And so it's really powerful.
And some of those graduates may decide that Kokomo is the place that they want to stay. They may have come from Illinois or Ohio, but this was the place that captured their heart.
I can tell you, in my real estate business, what I see all the time is people will leave, and then when they're time to start a family, they migrate back to Kokomo.
Really?
All the time. See it all the time. Time to start the family, got married, settled down, they're coming back to Kokomo. And people like to have grandkids by grandparents and that kind of stuff. What we're really on, I think, on the cusp of is people who aren't taking that hiatus now and leaving and coming back because they're like, it's all right here now. I can get a great college degree here. I can get a great high school education. I can have amenities. I can go to the brand new YMCA. I can go to trails. I can do all the things that I was supposedly able to do in other communities. I'm doing it here now.
Right.
And so not as many are rushing out the door, and I think that bodes well for our community.
But what's the downside? What's the risk?
The risk that, listen, if we're moving forward as a community, I never see that as risk at all. Economies ebb and flow, right? And we've seen that and we've experienced it. I mean, you can go back to 2009, 10, 11 during the worst financial crisis of our lifetime and hopefully never see that again. Our community fared very well through that crisis, as difficult as it was. We came out of that thing fast, hard, and strong, and that was community leaders coming together saying, we're not folding up our tent.
Right.
This is a difficult moment that we're going to push through, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen that resilience not just in downward economic times, but look at the tornadoes that we had. Look at the floods that we had. Right. I mean, our community is known for pushing through difficulties. And when we pushed through that difficulty of that financial crisis, it set us on a path that I believe that ended us up here. We're able to land these 2 battery plants because people saw, wow, look at the growth. Look what they're doing. They didn't fold up their tent. People are wanting to live there. We want to bring jobs there.
Sure, and Indianapolis had to have seen that because they're the one that pushes those type of investments to different communities in the state, right?
It's incredible. The support we had from the state and the local governments and the private sector to Landstar Plus, it was just unmatched. And that's a very competitive process to land a company like a Samsung, a Stellantis partnership. And they were looking at Michigan, and they were looking at Ohio, and they were looking at us, and it was very, very competitive. But I'm going to tell you, when you have the state, the governor, local elected officials, private sector support, education, you have everybody at the table helping this company understand this is how you'll be received in our community, and here's what we can do for you. Boy, I'm going to tell you, they were listening intently because we had a lot to offer. And apparently they agreed we had a lot to offer, because here they are.
Sure. And we did give them a very lucrative package. Sure. And I've heard critics say, well, we gave away the whole farm. We've given them abatements. We're never going to see tax dollars. But that's not.
Listen, Michigan was giving them a lot of incentive and abatement. Ohio was giving them a lot of incentive and abatement. Okay, the incentive abatement game isn't unique to us.
Right.
What we have to do is say, okay, we're going to be in the incentive and abatement game as well, because we're not going to lose these jobs to another community. But how do we do this in a way that ultimately there is the benefit to the community? And I would just tell you that 3,000 jobs, when it's all said and done, is a benefit to the community. And causing people to move to our community is really the bigger win. So, for example, we have 9,000 people a day that travel into Howard County and then go back home and work, right? Or go back home after they work. We would love for a big chunk of those 9,000 to live here, because now they're spending their dollars here, paying rent here, or paying a home payment, car payment. They're investing money in our community, which makes our local economy stronger. So when you bring in 3,000 jobs and you bring people with that, your economy automatically gets stronger in a whole lot of ways. And so those are the real wins. So yeah, we've got to incentivize and compete to bring here, but here's what we're looking for. We're looking for these wins, and we're looking to have jobs for our folks for many years to come. And look, the automobile industry ebbs and flows as well, right? Just like the real estate industry, just like the economy. And so when we're in those moments, having those jobs is just ultimately critical in the long term for us.
And you say 9,000 in and out of the community. That's a smaller number than it was a generation ago.
Oh yeah, people are choosing Kokomo and Howard County, and frankly our region now, as a place of choice. And that just fires me up more than I can explain to you.
And so, as the average guy out there, how do I help that continue? How do I improve that if I'm just the average guy?
Yeah, so listen, I always tell the average person that says something like to me, I'm like, look, there is so much room in this community to get involved. And the best way I try to help people understand what that looks like is I say, just tell me what your passion is. Because we're going to match your passion up to a place in our community that needs your help. Right? So if you tell me I'm passionate about animals, I'm going to introduce you to the Humane Society, and you're going to see how you can help our Humane Society go from here to here by your involvement, right? So tell me your passion, and I'm going to show you in the community where you can help fill the gap. And more and more people are doing that, and the more people that do it, the stronger our community becomes. So there's always an opportunity to give back. There's always an opportunity to participate. And even if you just go and participate in some of the city council meetings or the commissioner meetings and hear what's going on and say, oh, I can help with that, right, and then participate. And then lastly, I always tell people too, don't ever discount support, right? So, a lot of times on social media, you only see the bomb throwers, right? Because people are afraid to type something good, so they don't want to get, that. Mm-hmm. Be proud of your community. Stand up and say, hey, here's the great things that are going on, and let's go. And when you see something that's good, you see something that's exciting, wow, just be a big supporter of it, and let's keep rolling.
So, what about READI 3.0?
Yeah, so I would tell you that if Governor Holcomb was able to run for another term, mm-hmm, and assuming that he would have won another third term, I would bet anything there would be a READI 3.0. But as you know, he's termed out, and so now there'll be a new governor come next year. And it's my hope is that the new governor will look at READI 1.0 and READI 2.0 and say, this has been one of the most impactful programs in the state of Indiana in the last 50 to 75 years. And here's what I mean by that. The READI program has impacted all 17 regions in the state of Indiana. And what that means is money is going to not only large cities, but smaller communities. So when you look at our region, we're a predominantly rural region, and we have $65 million coming into our rural region. And on a per capita basis, to be number 4 or 5 means we're competing with the Terre Hautes, the Lafayettes for dollars per capita. And that's why people are turning their head looking and going, what's going on in that region? Because those dollars are coming here. And so when you put it together like that and you look at READI and say, it's impacting every corner of our state and everything in between, whereas there have been some previous programs that were good programs, like Regional Cities, for example. Great program, but it focused on 3 really big metropolitan areas. They got all the money. And so the little guys out here going, hey, what about us? Or hey, our communities. READI has just said, wait a second, we're going to raise the whole level in Indiana. And so I'm hoping they'll look at READI 1.0 and 2.0 and say, this has been phenomenal, let's keep it going for 3.0. Because I will tell you that our region already has projects that are ready to go for 3.0, and and we are just that on fire. I mean, our 6 counties, the leadership, I can't say enough about them. We are just advancing our region at a pace right now that's just unmatched, and we're proud of it.
Very good. All right. Well, there you go. If you don't feel better about the community after the last couple of weeks, I don't know what to tell you, because there's a lot of great things going on here. There are a lot of great things coming up. So don't pack your bags yet. In fact, you might look at maybe improving your lot in life here in Kokomo. There are plenty of opportunities. So I want to thank Paul for joining us again and talking about economic development. And I want to thank you for watching The Lamp, presented by the Kokomo Lantern. Be good to each other.